From Worldwide Technology, this is the AI Proving Ground podcast. Today, we're stepping into a part of the AI world that most people never get to see. Over the past year, AI has surged from pilot projects and proofs of concept into something much bigger, something closer to national infrastructure. Countries are racing to build sovereign clouds. Enterprises are scrambling to secure GPUs. And everywhere you look, leaders are asking the same questions. How do we scale? How do we stay in control? And are we building something durable, or are we living through another bubble? To make sense of this moment, we're joined by someone who sits at the center of all of it, Edmondo Orlatti, Chief Growth Officer at Core42, who has spent his career inside the world's most powerful compute systems, from early high-performance computing at HPE and NVIDIA to national-scale AI infrastructure in the Middle East. Few people understand the difference between hype and hard reality the way he does. For note, Core42 is the sovereign cloud and AI engine inside G42, the Abu Dhabi-based technology group behind some of the world's most ambitious AI programs, all built around a single idea: that nations and enterprises need their own secure, scalable foundation to thrive in an AI-driven world. Edmondo is joined by WWT's Senior Director of AI, Mike Trojecki, to translate what this means for enterprise leaders who are trying to stitch together cloud, data center, and edge environments into something that can actually support AI at scale. So let's jump in. Mr. Trojecki, welcome back to the AI Proving Ground podcast.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, and Edmondo, welcome for the first time. Welcome to Worldwide Technology Global Headquarters. How are you?
Good. Thank you for inviting me here.
Absolutely. We're here to talk about a lot of things that have to do with AI today with G42. And, we'll be talking a lot about scale, sovereignty, so on and so forth. Edmondo, I do want to start on a little bit more of a newsy talking point. Your position with G42 has you in a unique spot where you're across government, you're across hyperscale, you're across enterprise. The idea of an AI bubble, which we're hearing more about these days, whether it's in the news cycles or just from leaders across the industry. You think we're approaching an AI bubble, or what do you think about the environment right now?
Well, the future is hard to predict, but so there are a few things that I believe I can say. So the first thing is that the AI business is real.
Mm-hmm.
So the demand is there. The transformation that is driven by AI is happening. Now, the transformation is obviously happening at different speeds according to the different markets. So there are markets that obviously are already deeply into AI, and in particular, we can notice that in the consumer market. Mm-hmm. Now, we don't realize that. We don't even see it, but AI is ubiquitous in the experience that we have as consumers. In the enterprise, it's obviously taking more time, but we see really the difference in the transformation that enterprises go through. Takes more time, but is there, and it's really happening. I would say really happening without us noticing that much, but we get used to it. Then obviously, I'm speaking from a privileged standpoint, but I do see that even if in different ways and different speeds across the world, AI is effectively coming. So I wouldn't say at all it's a bubble. Obviously, there is speculation, and obviously people want to make money quick on a stock market that has obviously been going to the sky, but it's a real transformation. It's a real revolution, new industrial revolution.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Mike, I mean, it's a little, not apples to apples here, but from an enterprise side, expectations, do you think we're, starting to grow a bubble here in terms of what leaders are expecting from AI versus what they're getting now or maybe getting in the near future?
I don't think this AI thing is going to happen at all at this point. No, if you look at the way we consume the internet and the adoption of the internet, we're adopting AI at a much faster pace, even though the investments being made are outpacing the investments made from an internet standpoint. We're still consuming AI at a higher rate. So I don't think that's going to lead to an AI bubble.
Yeah.
So we're seeing a lot of enterprises now. We talk about, building these AI factories. What's happening is we've built a lot of these AI factories. They're going to continue to build these AI factories, but now enterprises are starting to consume AI.
Yeah.
So I think that consumption is going to bring us to a point where it's not an AI bubble.
Yeah. Edmondo, a lot of the organizations that we deal with here at WWT talk about a lot about an AI first organization or an AI ready organization. You're talking about an AI native nation. So I'm curious about the work you're doing at G42. What does an AI first or an AI native nation actually entail, and how are you working towards that?
So an AI native nation is a nation that has embedded AI as part of their core activities. And this means obviously a regulatory framework, so countries that have defined how to approach AI, but it means also to have embedded AI into, for instance, any of the governmental services. It is about making AI a component of any workflow in the operations of a nation, of a country. And there are few countries that have embraced that. And in those countries, you can see the advantages of having an AI native approach.
Yeah. During your work doing this, have any challenges popped up that may have surprised you? I mean, you've been in the industry now for 30 plus years, I believe. So, you want to think that you've seen it all, but has anything surprised you along the way here?
Well, I wouldn't say surprised, but so AI is all about data, right? So if you don't have your right strategy on data, it's very difficult to do anything with AI. What I did notice, for instance, if I take Europe as an example, in speaking with the governments, I will not mention the country, but speaking with one country, talking about digitalizing and applying AI and making that country AI native, in the conversations, they came back saying that they had, in the public administration, they had something like 12,000 different data lake sources, all of them not communicating with each other. So you can imagine that for that country to step into an AI native situation, it will take years.
Yeah.
Right? You have systems that don't talk to each other. You have data that is not properly managed. The governance on the data, in many cases, is at best is fragmented. So these are the big challenges. And when speaking in general about AI native countries, but I would say this applies also to the enterprises. Having the right strategy on data is really the first step. It's the enabling step, and that's why, for instance, you see that countries that are AI native are countries that have had a proper strategy, the proper policy in place on how to manage their data, the citizens' data, I mean everything that's related to that, and from the UAE, we are in a privileged position because this was part of a strategic plan that started more than 10 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, Mike, fragmented systems, a messy data estate, regulation and policy. This sounds like a similar playbook that we hear a lot with customers. What are you seeing on the enterprise side? Give us a little bit of a translation about what Edmondo's talking about and apply it to what that means for an enterprise right now.
Yeah, there's not much of a translation that needs to be had. I mean, it is clearly about the data pieces here. The one thing that I continually talk to people about is, data is a big issue. You need that data. You need good, clean data to actually get use out of AI. But it doesn't mean you need to have everything into one single giant perfect data lake, right?
Right.
You want to be able to start with the data that you have and go from there. Don't let perfection stop progress from a data standpoint. So I would agree with everything you're saying. And, even within an enterprise and even public sector, the governance piece as well is you've got to have the regulation around that on what to do with the data, how you protect your citizens' data, right? How you're using it, but then also managing the scale of AI and doing it properly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an important part. If you do that, that'll stop some of the fragmentation, right? If you can manage the scale, use the data that you have, and don't try and boil the ocean, as they say, with your data, I think you're going to be in a good spot. But yeah. I mean, I love the talk about data because especially with what you guys are building from Core 42, a lot of people just think about the infrastructure and building out the infrastructure at that point. So the fact that you guys are thinking about the data piece, I think sets you apart from some of these other organizations that are building these large GPU clouds.
Yeah. Anything, as you're hearing Mike say that, you've had experience on kind of all sides of this here, whether it be from the vendor perspective or enterprise, and now certainly, what you're doing here with Core 42. Any lessons that you are learning and taking away from what the enterprise is doing on how to successfully scale AI?
Well, one good point is the fact that actually in the enterprise space, what we see is that if you want to wait for applying all the digital transformation to all the areas of the business and so on, you will never take off.
Yeah.
And one of the problems is that very often enterprises run POCs maybe on some data and so on, and maybe the results are not that great. And then because of that, they stop all the projects, right? Or they slow them down because they don't see the real value. AI is not implementing and embedding AI into the workflows and transforming the companies with AI. Obviously takes time. And I think it's more a cultural issue. People are not used to. But at the same time, if we look at, let's look at, for instance, at OpenAI, ChatGPT, right? So ChatGPT is the king in the world of consumers.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go and analyze those consumers are employees at companies that use ChatGPT to increase their productivity. So they're effectively applying AI into the enterprise.
Right.
But they're doing individually because the enterprise is not ready to do it. So exposing obviously to other type of risks and inefficiencies and so on. So AI is a journey, but there has to be a strong motivation and a strong direction to keep on going and understand that this does take time. I think that the advent of the agentic platforms,
Mm-hmm.
I believe, will help enterprises a lot because starting to have agents that support the individuals is something that I believe we will get used to it very, very soon. It will be much easier to consume, let's say, to leverage agents rather than directly managing, let's say, the interfaces by themselves.
Yeah.
And I was going to say that on the agentic piece of this, we're now giving not just employees here at WWT, but across all of our customer base, you have the ability to create agents on your own. You don't need to be a coder to
Mm-hmm.
create these types of agents. So we're putting that power into the hands of employees and letting them, I don't want to say play with the technology, but create the things that are important to them to help them get their job done. Then you can look at that, and if it's something really interesting or unique, it's something you might be able to scale across the entire corporation. So the agentic piece, I think, is going to, and you talked about the bubble, I think the agentic piece is now, that is being adopted faster than even generative AI right now. So I think that is one of the key points.
Yeah, you seen that spike in agentic on your end too, Edmondo?
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely, and we see the proliferation of the agentic platforms as well. That's definitely, I think, what will make AI more successful, specifically into the enterprise world. Even though, even at personal, at the consumer level, I can't wait to have my agents for everything, right? And it will be really like having a dedicated personal support that will live with us all the time. Then let's say, I would say, this could be a good problem to solve for some. What happens with agentic platforms is that your consumption of AI increases dramatically. It's basically an order of magnitude. And that is the motivation behind, at least part of the motivation behind these massive deployments of AI infrastructure. Because if we think about, let's say, 10 agents per individual, and we think about how wide we can go in the world, then you can do the math and check that effectively the infrastructure that is deployed today is nowhere near what's needed.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you mentioned platforms, because I've seen you say, that the move from AI pilots to platforms is an important one. Does that tie into what you were just saying right there, or maybe expand a little bit on why moving towards an AI platform is a good route to go, not only for you at G42, but or at Core 42, I'm sorry, but for enterprises across the world?
Well, so enterprises need, as I said, it's about the journey, right? So you need to start embedding AI into your workflows in a native way. At Core 42, for instance, we do ourselves run a program. There is a team that is going and evaluating how we work on a daily basis, right? And where can we apply AI into our processes? But what this team is doing, they are redesigning the workflows to embed AI. They're not just applying AI on top as a patch, because that wouldn't work. It obviously takes time, but we go one use case at a time, and we implement that, because we are also a company that does exist on the market for a while. So we have to, let's say, justify AI also into our own company before going out. So the transition to platform is extremely important because, for instance, there are very nice examples of platforms that now are available into the enterprise world, and as you were just saying, the employees can build agents on top of these platforms without any code. And those good agents that will be useful for more people then will be adopted all around. So there is in particular one experiment that is happening with the IHC group in the UAE, where all the 1,400 companies have access to an agentic platform, and they build this. This is how you do bring AI to fruition.
Yeah, it takes not just one company, right? It takes a ton of different organizations to bring this together. And you mentioned what you guys are doing with kind of the agentic AI stuff. It's similar, Brian, to what we're doing here with like Atom and some of the things that we're doing in the agentic platforms that we're building internally, from network assistance and kind of RFP assistance as well. But I think one of the things that we're going to see from an agentic standpoint, especially when it comes to consumption, right now, when you're using Gen AI and chatbots, it's really spiky, right? But when you get into agents, you're going to have this consistent consumption across the board, right? You want to always be using those GPUs. But from an agentic side, you look back and say, everybody's using these as chatbots for the most part. But we're starting to see people turn to AI, agentic AI, as a mentor, right? A thought leader, right? I think you saw one of the life sciences companies, their CEO said he uses a platform. I won't say the platform, but uses this platform to actually serve as a mentor for him. So he interacts with it on a daily basis. And I think those are the things that we're going to see, that as people start using AI as a mentor and start looking to it for advice rather than do something, right? I think we're going to see adoption increase tremendously.
Yeah, Edmondo, I mean, you agree?
Absolutely. And without getting too technical, but we believe that LLMs now have become a commodity, right? What we believe is that we are going to see a proliferation of what we call the SLM, so the specialized language models. Yeah. So they will be our advisors, right? We will consume those SLMs through agents. But I've seen, for instance, this in Germany with some very large manufacturing companies. They are basically collecting all their know-how into these SLMs, and basically the employees have access to the entire knowledge of the company, and this is a tremendous help. It does change the way you work, and then you can start having SLMs specialized in different fields. I was speaking to a startup here in the US that has, let's say, the backup of some major players. And they were telling me they are building SLMs for the engineering world. So you're going to have the feedback that is you're going to have engineers that are going to talk with other engineers. The difference is that these other engineers will be AI engineers to check and validate and speed up their workflows. I think in a way it's true. If you think about, this has been discussed in the press for quite a while. If you look at the consultancy world, for instance, this is going to change dramatically, because you can have, and Sam Altman has referred to this many times, right? You can have your own personal consultant in the specific domain that you need, straight from an AI model. Yeah. Again, these are things that we will all get used to it. No? If we think that the smartphones are only 20 years old, right? Less. And now we ask ourselves, how could we live without, right? This is going to be exactly the same effect. In 2 or 3 years, we will use agents and we will say, oh, how was the world before?
Yeah, exactly. And Brian knows this. I'm a big movie buff. I talk a lot about movies and technology. And if you look right now, like the Matrix, he'd be able to download all the knowledge he needs to, fly a helicopter or whatever. But we'll be able to do that with an agent. So are we going to be able to download it into a human? I don't think so. But can we download that knowledge into an agent, and that agent can become an expert in that? So that's the way I look at this, is saying, okay, I can get these models, train these specialized language models in these certain areas. Right?
Yeah, but you mentioned science fiction, so let me deep dive into that. So no, we cannot.
This is get fun now.
Yeah,
yeah, we cannot get into humans yet, but we can get into robots.
Yep.
So having the robots are the arms, the physical extension of the LLMs, right, of the models. And we believe we have dedicated resources on working on the robotics world. We believe that robotics, for instance, is going to be the additional next one of the additional next big markets coming in, because we're going to have robots at home. We're going to have assistants. Again, I was working with last week, where I was discussing with another company that has developed a specific skill set to be basically a nurse for elder people. And that skill set is downloaded on a robot, right? So what you describe as the matrix, the skill set for piloting an helicopter, that's exactly what's happening. So it is science fiction. It was science fiction. It's becoming a true reality.
Yeah.
And I think this is going to happen sooner than we expect.
This episode is supported by Thales. Thales delivers data protection and cybersecurity solutions to secure critical information. Trust Thales to safeguard your digital assets with advanced security technologies.
You're talking robots, so we're getting into physical AI here. How does that change your mentality leading Core 42, or what needs to happen from an IT perspective differently, if anything, or is it just a natural progression?
So it's important to mention that we have a company inside the G42 analog that does focus on the robotics track, right? So they're doing an amazing work there. And robotics has been with us for a very long time. Now, the real difference is the evolution from a mechanical standpoint. So we have robots that can really behave like humanoids, but robots have been with us for a long time. The Tesla car is a robot, right, as well. So the difference is that now with the LLMs, so the LLMs are a natural interaction between the human and the machine. Mm-hmm. The robot is the last physical thing. So we will, the robots enable us to create an intimacy with that machine, and also to get the machine to do physical things, right? Like loading the washing machine or other tasks. So if you look at the enterprise, I believe robots robots have been in the enterprise for a long time. If you think the manufacturing floor, robots have been here for a long time. I don't know how many people know that any iPhone is built completely by robot. There is not one single human hand that touches the iPhone before it's made. And these are semi-humanoid robots that build the phones. Because you don't have fingers that are small enough to assemble all those components and so on. So robots have been in the industry for a long time. What you will have, for instance, if you go back into the IT world, these AI systems, right, these GPU systems that we deploy, starting next year already, we are going to have an significant amount of power that is going to go into the servers, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to have 500 kilowatts and maybe soon 1 megawatt inside one single rack. This becomes to be dangerous for human to operate because you have liquid, you have a lot of electricity, and a lot of power in there. Robots will do the work, right? Robots will replace humans in those areas where either it's dangerous, either it's polluted environments, and so on. And this is happening heavily into the enterprise. If you go to Abu Dhabi, I mean, it's now quite common at a restaurant, you have a robot as a waiter taking the orders and everything. Sounds a little bit fancy or exotic, but it's effectively becoming the norm. Right? Yeah. So all these digital receptions and all these things, we are going to live in a world of robots. There is no question.
Well, I mean, Mike, are you seeing that right now with clients that we engage with here at WWT? And assuming the answer is yes, apologies for making the word assumption there.
Yeah.
But what does that mean from the IT perspective? Like, how do companies have to shift to enable?
He's absolutely right. This is here. It's coming. It's going to be a part of our everyday lives. We've brought robotics experts onto the AI practice now. So from AI robots to digital twins, we're now bringing that expertise in. And in fact, we've got a number of customers that we're working with already on some of the biped humanoid type robots. And hopefully we'll actually see a couple here, and maybe we can do an interview the next time on the podcast, an AIPG podcast with a robot.
It's all robots. We'll take a vacation.
Exactly. Yeah. A robotic Brian.
There you go.
So from an IT standpoint and an enterprise standpoint, what this means is inference becomes a lot more important.
Okay.
Right? So we train these specialized language models, like Edmondo said, but inference becomes more important. And that's where companies like G42, Core 42 come in, because you've got to have the ability to execute at the edge.
Yeah.
Right? I use this kind of example. I use this in a conversation yesterday, is the difference between training and inference. And training, it's like I coach my daughter's 10-year-old soccer team, right? So training is all of your practices. You're coaching, teaching them what to do. Inference is about what happens on the field and how the players react in the field. Well, we need that reaction to happen in organizations now to be able to react to all the training that has been done. And we can use these robots as the physical extension that Edmondo said to do it.
Yeah.
So I am excited about it. We'll go back to movies. We'll talk about iRobot. That's another one. But I'm excited about what that world brings for us. And you talked about the advancement in medical, being able to have robots for care.
Yeah.
Right. Being able to help go into situations that are dangerous situations. Right. Anywhere where you've got an environment where somebody could be hurt, you send in a robot to do it.
Yeah.
And we have moved from science fiction to a reality. And as we continue to do that, I've always been a fan of saying that, hey, people who write the books and come up with the movies, they're the ones that create this stuff. We as technologists just execute on it.
Go achieve it. Well, Mike, I'm loving all the movie references. So as I keep asking more questions, keep dropping more movie references. Edmondo, we're talking about, with all the robotic stuff and just what we've covered so far, just an explosion of data at the edge in different locations. I feel like I'm going to shift that into just the concept of sovereign AI right now. Why is that it's becoming more and more of a conversation, at least as I understand it through the clients that we deal with. Why is that shift happening right now with sovereign AI, data sovereignty? What's the value there? And just walk me through where we're at with that.
So, sovereignty is critical because AI works on data, right? Let's say that we start implementing robots into the enterprises or even at home, right? You want to be absolutely certain that the data that is involved in all the processes stay secure and stay inside the boundaries of the countries under which you have to be compliant with the regulations, right? So that's critical because you want to have a framework that explicitly lets you know how your data is going to be used, for instance, and who controls that data, who has the authority on that data. That's why sovereignty has become a more important topic even than in the past for countries and down to the enterprise level. I was mentioning about this company, this large manufacturing company in Germany. They are building their SLM, and this company has thousands, if not tens of thousands of IPs, right? Mm-hmm. Where should they put that SLM when they have to run inferencing, right? If I would be that company, I would be very reluctant in bringing all my IP, everything, all my value, somewhere in the cloud, in a place that I don't have control of, right? So I think sovereignty is here to stay, for sure. I think the more the enterprises and the citizens, they understand what it means and what is the value of data, sovereignty will be more and more a relevant topic. This goes along with the security, because you can have sovereignty, but if you don't have security, your data will flow away anyway. And because of this, in G42, we have a company that is dedicated to cybersecurity, which is called CPX. And so they work on different areas of the cybersecurity world. But one of the areas is, how do you make AI secure? And when I say secure, it means a lot of things, right? So, for instance, in the case of the robots, for example, the robot is a physical human. Imagine that someone can hijack that robot. Bad things can happen. We have seen many cases, for instance, in the automotive sectors, right? Cars that are connected, and cars where there are critical flaws in the security, and cars that can be remotely controlled, right? So security has to be designed in an embedded way into any AI workflow. And this is, again, something that has not been, in my opinion, it's not been given the right attention. Just to give you an example, we are working on a project on our side where we go beyond the traditional confidential compute type of environments. We protect the weight, so we protect these LLMs and SLMs inside the GPU memory. So you don't have any way to get access there, and whatever happens, you can switch off the access to anyone on the entire chain, from where the LLM is executed down to the network. These are technologies that are being developed and are not widely adopted yet. But this is a critical point. The moment that inferencing will be the primary task, and it's becoming already the primary task for AI, then protecting the execution of AI, protecting all the channel, the communication, the links, and everything becomes critical. There are countries, for instance, that have already embedded quantum-safe networks at the country level. So the entire backbone of the connectivity is quantum-safe. Mm-hmm. You have to start thinking in that way, right? So enterprises. I was in DC last week, and one of the conversations we were having is that basically it may be that in 3 to 4 years, or even before, the RSA encryption may be gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, imagine you are an enterprise. I mean, how much RSA you're using? Tons of areas. It means you need to start rethinking. This is going to be a very tough job for the CISOs to revise security, right? But this is something that with AI becomes critical, because AI then becomes really an embedded portion of the workflows.
Yeah, I was going to follow up on that. I mean, you're talking about Q-Day here with quantum.
Exactly.
And then you're talking about AI being there to act as a tool. I mean, Mike, just build on that a little bit. Was that a natural progression as we're talking about data and AI, sovereign AI, that's just leading into the eventuality of quantum?
I don't think it's a path to get there. I think they're kind of running in parallel, not in serial.
Okay.
So if you look at, Q-Day, they're predicting Q-Day now is going to be in 2027 sometime, right? And we talk about that a lot. We've been spending a lot of time on the team of, okay, how are we reacting to Q-Day with all the things we're doing in AI and the security side and infrastructure? I mean, all these things will be vulnerable if we're not doing the right things, as not just as WWT, but as a country, a world. That is going to be an important play. Going back to the sovereign AI piece, that sovereignty is critical in an enterprise as well, right? They have that data is critical to their IP. And one of the things that we've tried to help our customers is this concept of build versus buy, and where do they put their data? And typically, if it's your critical data and it's things that are important to you, like your IP, then you want to put that in a secure on-prem kind of sovereign type environment.
Sure.
So we're seeing a lot of that. The second thing that you mentioned, Edmondo, was about the security piece. Right? And there's two components to that, right? There's securing AI, and then using AI for security. Right? So when it comes to securing AI, you talked about this, especially at the GPU level, we have to make sure that these LLMs are secure. We have to be able to working to make sure that they're not vulnerable, that the infrastructure is not vulnerable, right? And there are decisions where people are going to say, I've got to put this data either in, a cloud, GPU cloud, or put it in a hybrid type environment. Those are tough decisions for these companies to make because there are financial differences between each of those. And, we're going to go back. I could talk about the robot stuff all day long, but keeping those safe, about being able to hijack a robot or hijack a car or something like that. I mean, if we don't have this stuff figured out before Q Day, then that becomes a real eventuality.
Yeah.
Right. So we've got to be able to move beyond that.
Yeah. I would love to talk about quantum for another several hours, but I know we don't have that much time here. So I'm gonna shift a little bit and get to you. We've mentioned a little bit about security, but I'm going to talk about the element of speed here. Organizations around the world trying to advance their own AI strategies, they're at a constant struggle of balancing trying to move fast with trying to move safely. Edmondo, what you're doing at Core 42 is certainly kind of, winding up to be a playbook for how to do that. How are you thinking about that balance between speed and security, where you're being pushed to move as fast as you can to win this race, but also doing it in such a way that you don't, the car doesn't come apart as you're driving it?
So let me start from 2 points. And I just want to make a comment on quantum, no? Because this week at Supercomputing, you could start seeing quantum becoming a popular topic, and many people were making the comment, okay, quantum is the next bubble, right? I've been always very cautious on quantum, but for what we are seeing, quantum is coming slowly, surely. There is obviously a lot of technology hurdles still to solve, but it is coming. The day that we're going to have tens of thousands of qubits available from these machines, it's not that far. So when talking about the Q day, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's not something that I don't want to threaten anyone, but it's definitely going to happen, right? So better to be ready and to leverage the benefits of quantum. So when it comes to speed and safety, I start from one point. The AI race is not a race to implement AI; it's a race for survival. So I in this case, I'm very, very blunt, very direct, straightforward. If an enterprise doesn't embed AI, it's going to be dead. So there's not be the company anymore, because the competitors that adopt AI will outpace those enterprises that fall behind. So I don't think it's even a question of deciding, okay, I slow down because I want to be safe and so on. Unfortunately, it's a tough race, and speed and safety have to go in parallel. Right? Then obviously you start from the areas that are lower risk and so on. But I'm sorry to say, but you can't wait. That's it. Obviously, you can say I'm biased. I work for a company that deploys AI infrastructure, but in my experience, I see those companies that have implemented AI, they have massive advantages. So how can you survive? How can you be? I don't know. Let's take a retail banking. How can retail banking survive if they don't adopt AI massively? They will just simply disappear, right?
To sum up your answer, it's kind of, I'm asking, how do you balance speed and safety? And you're saying tough. You have to do both.
There is no choice.
That's the reality many organizations might find themselves in. Understanding that the situation is tough, you're going to have to deal with it. What's the go forward?
Man, it's speed and safety, but it's also culture within a business in the enterprise side, right? Are people going to trust it? Mm-hmm. Are people going to learn how to use AI? And if they don't, then like Edmondo said, they're going to fail eventually. But going back to this concept of speed, right, and the adoption piece, the thing that why we view Core 42 as so important, not just to what they're doing in the UAE, but just globally, companies like Core 42 enable the speed. And you already mentioned the security part of this down to the GPU level. being able to make decisions quick. You don't have to wait to build an infrastructure. You're going to run into power and cooling issues. You're going to run into space and weight issues. But being able to work with somebody like a Core 42 enables that speed.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily meant to be a pitch here, but it's the reality is that you guys are leading kind of worldwide in helping customers to be able to increase the speed at which they adopt AI and use AI.
Yeah. Well, maybe just a little bit of that. You're enabling the speed in a little bit of a summarized answer. How are you able to do that? What can you share with some of our listening audience that would help put them on the right path or feel like they're on the right path to accomplish that?
Well, we do that in multiple levels. So inside Core 42, we have obviously the arm that deploys and operates infrastructure, but we also have, it goes under the professional services as well, right? So you need to sit down with the customer and define what workflows to start with, what is their strategy on data. So we help them through the journey, right? We bring them, there are many companies that where we have to go and explain what an agentic platform is, what agents do, right? They don't get it. And the only way for them to get it is when you show how it works, right? So we help them in this aspect, and also with the contribution of our partners like WT. That's the only way. And as I said, usually it's not. It takes time. It takes time to operate at full scale of the enterprise. But I can't imagine of a company that, for instance, today has not even started. Because those that are not even started, again, I'm sorry to say, but they will have big challenges. Right, they will be outpaced pretty quickly. And when it comes to speed and security, also for the enterprises, I like to think of something like the Formula One Grand Prix. Right, so you have to go fast. You have to make sure that you stay on the track and you don't hit the wall. But you need to run very fast. Right. Yeah. So that's the type of the situation where we are now. There is a lot of safety embedded into Formula One right now. Compared to a long time ago, but still, it's a race for survival. I'm on this. I've seen really tons of enterprises all across the world, and those that are more advanced in the journey, they are already experiencing very, very big advantages. The reason why I was mentioning the retail banking sector is a sector that, for instance, is critical. Where really, if you don't use AI, if they don't use AI, they will go out of business. At the same time, they have to provide a high level of safety, right, of security, right? So that gives you a good example. I want to have my financial advisor being an AI agent, and few are already providing it. Those that are not providing, I don't even want to interact anymore with those old interfaces and crappy stuff and so on.
Yeah. Well, I know we're coming up at the bottom of our time here, and the two of you have been gracious enough to spend an hour with us to this point. Let's just do a little bit of a future-facing close. If we're talking again in 12 months or this time next year, what is going to be kind of that central talking point? Today we're talking, certainly data sovereignty, AI strategy, move fast. Are we going to be talking about the same things again? Are we going to be leaning more into quantum? Are we going to be talking about something new that I don't even know about yet? Mike, we can start with you, and then Edmondo, you can close us out.
This conversation around agentic is going to be around for quite a while. So I think we'll be talking more about agentic AI and actual deployment of these agents becoming part of the workforce, not just a simple assistant. That's where I see it. And I will tell you that the team that I have now, I mean, the stuff that we're building from an agentic standpoint and what we're doing here at WWT, and we're scratching the surface of what's going to be possible.
Yeah. Edmondo, agents too, or something else?
No, agents too. And maybe to add on that, I think we will see some technological evolutions. There will be many more AI factories in 12 months from now that will enable these agentic platforms. I think another thing that we will start getting used to is the fact that LLMs will dominate the world of multimodal content. So videos and everything which is which is related to multimodality, will become extremely popular. So we will get used to that, which is scary in a way. But we will have to look at any video, anything that we see through a screen. We will have to really question whether this is real or not, because it will be very difficult to distinguish.
Yeah.
This will be the additional thing. But the agents becoming the part of the workforce, that's definitely what I see in 12 months. Quantum, I think we need to wait another 2-3 years to really see the impact.
Yeah, but prepare now.
Well, I mean, it's a raising wave, no? It's a wave that is raising. It's coming, and it takes. Quantum is even more difficult. I mean, it's quantum physics. I mean, people need to get used to a completely different landscape of things. But there is already quantum memory. There is at the network level. There are amazing things that really bring us into the science fiction movie type.
Yeah, I'm walking into a meeting right after this one to discuss quantum computing. So
yeah,
it's something to, like you said, keep an eye on. But we probably need a couple more years.
Yeah, I mean, equal part exciting, scary, humbling future ahead of us, but we'll get there and tackle it together. Well, to the two of you,
it's exciting, though.
Yes,
it's exciting.
That's the other element.
Definitely.
So we are transforming something.
I'm happy you're ending on an optimistic note there with exciting. Well, to the two of you, thanks again for joining. We'll have you on again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, Brian.
Okay, thanks to Edmondo and Mike for joining us today. The race toward AI-native organizations is clearly accelerating, and the window for thoughtful decision-making is narrowing. Now is the moment to ensure that your architecture, your data, and your strategy are ready for what's coming next. This episode of the AI Proving Ground podcast was co-produced by Naz Baker, Kara Kuhn, Batul Kurik, Carolyn Steese, and Helen Messer. Our audio and video engineer is John Knobloch. My name is Brian Felt. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.